timber. Squeeze. Nice and heavy.
And on the weekend, baby, I'm getting drunk as shit. You got BOA, then you better get with me. This shit here feel.
You riding?
Niggas say they gon' kill me. I'm up, I can just drop a feet. Why I throw through a melody over my bitch shit, but Lisa put up, she don't never be with me. I stay with my glizzy.
So, just a little bit of an explanation on the backstory of this video. This was actually the first video that I ever made. This was when I started to think about stripping the cart and wanting to do a complete makeover or redo or whatever it was with the cart. My son loves this thing. So, the biggest thing for me was as it sat down for about a month, it wasn't running. And so me and the wife decided we were going to get it back up and running. And I've been watching a lot of like cart life videos, Fintertainment videos, Liberty Customs on Facebook. And I know the other two are YouTubers, but I just kind of started watching it, digging into it a little bit more. And I ended up buying like the Lithium Rhino 48-volt, 105 amp hour battery. And then I bought the 440 kilowatt with the 4 kilowatt motor. Shit. Well, I messed that up. The 440 amp controller with the 4 kilowatt motor. And I just ended up doing it myself. So this is where this whole thing kind of came from. I honestly only recorded this so I could watch myself back to re-put everything back in that I was buying new. So I bought a new wiring harness. I bought obviously the new battery, the new controller, the new motor. It comes with cables. It comes with everything you need to really put the stuff back in. So I've actually made a few videos already. I think I've already posted one or two of me like doing the light bar. I've already put in LED like underglow strips on this thing, which if you look at my shorts, I think there's a few of the videos of those types of things that I was doing and just kind of keeping an update. But this video kind of came like last minute to an idea of why not go ahead and just post me stripping the cart down and then obviously building it back up. But I started noticing that my phone got so hot during some of these because I'm in West Texas. So it's hot out here. I don't have a garage that's AC'd or anything. I'm just in my garage that I've kind of built up into a little man cave. And, my wife parks in here. And when I work in here, I back out the car. But so when I started filming this, I didn't really talk to the camera. It was more of a reference to go back and watch how I did it and then put it all back in the same. And with lithium and the new controller and motor and stuff, you kind of have to finagle some things for the harnesses to work right and etc. So it's kind of the reason why this video doesn't have me like talking to the camera. That and I wasn't really comfortable with it at first, which is kind of why I'm making the video now. It's been I think 3 months since I've done this, and so I'm a little bit more comfortable with talking to the camera. I know YouTube, that's what you have to do, but I'm still kind of gaining that confidence and learning that as well. So I kind of wanted to break it down and explain kind of where my head was at. And so hopefully eventually I can get the rest of the build posted up too. Uh, this is just kind of a part one of the beginning of me stripping it down. This is everything I did to get it pretty much naked. So if a lot of the video that I noticed was kind of skippy or corrupted on the next step for this, like when I started putting it all back in, because I did it during a day that was like 102. The phone got hot. I think I had 3 different times I had to check the phone and it was completely like it had stopped. The heat warning was on. I hadn't bought my new Acaso Brave 4 yet, which I bought that in hopes it would kind of help, but I had to learn with that thing too. So uh, kind of a crap show here and there. But you know what? I'm doing this for maybe the one person that might want to watch this and learn how to strip their cart down to kind of get started. And then just all the other little stuff I've been posting. Hopefully, this helps kind of see that it does work. the lithium battery is in, the controller's in, everything runs. It runs great. But so eventually I'll hopefully get those videos up and kind of go from there. But this is just the stripping of it all. So hopefully y'all enjoyed it. And I just kind of was doing my own thing at the time and wasn't really sure if I was going to start posting to YouTube. But at the end of the day, if I'm going to video it, I might as well do something with it. So hopefully this helps out, and y'all have a good one. And you'll get to see this build as it goes on, and I'll post when I can and how I can. Full-time job, wife, kids. So I'm doing it on my own time in hopes that it'll help people out. So appreciate y'all.
Take a look at them goodies right there. This is what we're putting in later on in a different video. Just want to give you a little sneak peek. This is my personal 2010 Club Car Precedent, and this is the first time I've done anything like this. And so we're just digging right into it, and we'll see how fun this really gets. I'm literally just going off of videos on YouTube and seeing how this thing goes. At this point, I'm just removing all the battery cables and all the nuts on the batteries off the terminals, and then just kind of getting everything situated for the full removal process. I'll be removing all these batteries and getting them out of the way. Remove the 3 torque screws that are holding the kick plate in. There are 2 T25 screws holding the body in. I just do it just enough to where I can lift the body up and get that kick plate out. Once you pull that body panel up, this kick plate will start coming out. You just got to start pulling it out from the bottom, and it kind of just pops itself out. So what you'll notice is there's a bunch of floor channels, and this is where all the harnesses and the wiring will run through. It just allows it to be a flush, clean fit whenever you put your mat back on the floor. And so from this point forward, pretty much everything starts getting stripped out from those floor channels. And once we put stuff back in, all that wiring will run straight back through that again. There's 1 screw holding on this little panel here, and this is where the controller and the solenoid are at, and where all the wires feed into. First 2 wires I'm unplugging here are the run and tow switch wires. Here I'm removing the nuts on the solenoid so I can remove the wires from the solenoid that is now burnt up on this unit, and getting all those taken off so these wires will just pop right off of the terminals. There's two more wires connected to the solenoid. These are the smaller wires here, and that's what I'm disconnecting now. There's two self tappers holding this solenoid on, so I'm just removing those so we can get this thing out of there.
Across its many Texas locations, Signature Care Emergency Center provides stress-free treatment.
So here all I'm doing is disconnecting all of the connection points that come out of the main harness. This is your 16 pin and like your speed sensor that runs down to the motor. We're just disconnecting all these just to really get the main harness disconnected from the controller in total. This is the OBC sensor plug, and with this being disconnected, the main harness will actually not register, so you have to bypass it later on. This is where the motor cables are connected at into the controller. I'm just removing the screws that are in there and taking those out, and then that'll be a complete removal of wiring going into the controller. So at this point, the main harness is pretty much disconnected from everything in the battery box and the motor. So now I'm just trying to make sure I get it separated so when I pull this thing out, it's not tangled up. The two M-core sensors are just two sensor plugs that pop out. No big deal on those. Easy and simple. Now I'm going to start working on the instrument cluster panel area where the main harness connects to. Those channels into the floor, you'll notice those wires run up to this little panel here. Well, there's a bunch of stuff that's connected to this, like the light harness. The light bar originally was hooked up to something in here, and that's how it got its power fed to it. So at this point, I was just kind of fed up with all the plugins and all the splices that this guy had in there. So I'm just going to start unplugging what I can, start snipping what I can with my snips, and hopefully just get this thing out. I'm not going to be using this headlight anymore. So I'm just disconnecting it and then snipping the wires that this had spliced into it so I don't have to use it at all anymore. I'm replacing it with a light bar for the headlight, and it just makes this so much easier so I don't have to deal with it.
kind of at a loss with what was spliced into this harness. So you can just kind of tell at this point, I'm just kind of over it, and I'll start snipping stuff off and just start taking it away.
Pull through the back of mounting plate to get that screw
Right here, you just take out the F&R switch, unplug the 3 wires that are connected to it, and then now this switch is completely removed, and those wires will just pop out with the harness. This is the bucket harness for the tail lights that connects to the headlights. So right here, I'm just removing the 2 tail light ones that run to the back of the cart, and then the rest of it just kind of comes out with it that ran to the front of the cart as well. And this will be the full bucket harness removal for the headlight and tail light kit. So this has a voltage reducer on it, and the radio was connected to it. So here I'm just disconnecting all the wires that the radio has that's connected to that voltage reducer, and at this point it just comes completely off and the voltage reducer comes out of the cart.
knocking things off the list.
This is where I just start removing the charging port. There's a few screws in there. You just take them all out. And this whole cable that you see in the battery box will slide right out of the hole. And it's just as simple as that. Just a few screws and rip it on out.
This completes the top side of the golf cart being stripped of all the wiring. Now we move on to the motor underneath. This is where we just remove the 4 nuts off of the motor, and these cables will pop out from there, and there's not much to it after that. The cables are gone, the cables are done. To remove the motor, there's three bolts that screw into it from the transaxle. So at this point, all you see me here doing is removing those three bolts. And with those three bolts removed, depending on how long this motor has been on, it'll slide right off. It could be stuck a little bit, so you might have to wiggle it off. But after this motor comes right out. Mind you, this thing is heavy. So just be careful when removing it because it does get heavy. And if you're not expecting it, you'll end up dropping it. And we don't need that. And somebody getting hurt, or you could ruin the motor and not be able to resell it or have it for another build or something like that later on. This motor pops off pretty easy just because I've already done a maintenance on this motor previously. And so I've already taken it off and I blew it out with all the carbon, buildup that it happens to have and everything else.
And timber. Wee. Nice and heavy. So this is the motor once I took it out the first time to clean it. And as you can see, it's super, super dirty, carbon buildup. And you can obviously tell by how black it is. And then here, I'll show you how once I cleaned it, it cleaned up real nice. And then coming in here is going to be the armature. I removed the body of the motor where the brushes and everything else are. And this is where cleaning it comes into play. All I used was an air compressor. And once the air compressor started blowing all this stuff out, it cleaned up real nice. It was just, there was a lot going on. I do not believe anybody had cleaned this thing. And this is a 2010 cart. So I'm assuming this motor is from that same, original setup. And here's a preview of everything that came out of the cart. Now it's time for me to reverse everything and put all the new stuff in that I got. I just vacuumed as much as I could, and then I honestly just took a spray that's a 303 protectant, and I just started wiping this thing down. I wasn't worried about technically cleaning it before I did that because I know this goes under a floor mat, but it is clean now. It has been wiped up. Everything's looking so much better. So at the end of this, you'll notice how much cleaner it is, and it's just easier to work with and a lot easier to see everything that I'm going to start putting back into the cart and where to put it.
So here all I'm doing is just really getting all this caked in dirt and sand that was between all the cracks and the screws, and it's not necessarily needed, but I was already getting into this thing, so I might as well just get it all figured out, cleaned up really nice, and just get all the dirt that I can just out of the way. And with that being removed as well on the screws, it makes it easier for me to spray this with the WD-40 and for it to really get there and penetrate and maybe keep some of the rust from happening later on. Well, that's going to be it for this one. I'm just going to finish wiping this thing down, and we're going to come to an end here. And I appreciate everybody watching. And if you made it this far, again, I appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one, and we'll start building this thing back up.